Good evening, and welcome to this public forum with the candidates for the Mandan Park Board. I am Caitlin McDonald with the League of Women Voters, and I will be your moderator. This candidate forum has been organized by the League of Women Voters of Bismarck-Mandan and Dakota Media Access. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that promotes the informed participation of all citizens in their government. The League does not endorse candidates or oppose candidates or political parties. There are 4 candidates running for 3 open seats on the Mandan Park Board, and 2 candidates have joined us here tonight. They are Chad Hudson-Buehler and Miles Melhoff. The audience here tonight, Thursday, May 10th, is invited to submit questions on the index cards provided, and the viewers and listeners may phone or text in questions for the candidates. The number to call is 667-3237 or text LWV 18527 to 22333. This is intended to be a respectful exchange of ideas. Our purpose this evening is to provide voters with the information about the candidates and their positions on issues that affect the people of Mandan. Now let's meet our candidates. You want to tell us why you are seeking election to the Mandan Park Board. Well, we will start with Mr. Melhoff.
Thank you. First off, thank you to the League of Women Voters for this event. I think it's a great way to get our message out. Not everybody's on social media, but it seems that the recording of this is very accessible to people, so thank you for that. As mentioned, my name is Miles Melhoff. I've lived in Mandan my entire life, and it's just been really fun for me to give back to the community. I'm currently the president of the Mandan Soccer Club, and I love seeing the smiling faces out there on the soccer field when we run a successful season, and I'd like to expand that into the park board. I know I can make a positive impact on the community, and with that, I'm just excited to be here and tell you a little bit of my ideas.
Thank you. Mr. Hudson-Buehler.
Yes, my name is Chad Hudson-Buehler, and before we get started, I know the first question everyone's asking is, are you related to Milos Hudson-Buehler? And no, I'm not, so we can get on with that now. It's the first question I always get. But yes, thanks for having me here tonight. I want to thank the League of Women Voters. I want to thank Miles for showing up and being a part of this. My name is Chad Hudson-Buehler. I'm running for re-election for the second term for the Mandan Park Board. I'm married to my wife Amanda. We've been married for 10 years. I have a daughter, Olivia, who's 5, and a dog named Harley, who's 7. The reason I'm running for Mandan Park Board is I'm just really love giving back to the community. The last 4 years have just been amazing, seeing how people are using our facilities and having fun and just seeing people smile. That's what I love to see, and just making an impact on the community. So I'm happy to be here tonight and happy to answer all your questions.
Thank you. And now we'll move on to the questions. These have been developed by members of the League of Women Voters, our in-house audience, and viewers at home. For our audience here to submit a question, please use the index cards provided. Viewers may also submit questions tonight, Thursday, May 10th, by phone at 667-3237 or by texting LWV 18527 to 22333. Candidates have not been given these questions in advance, and each candidate will have 60 seconds to respond to each question. Please comply with our time restrictions so that we can get to as many questions as possible tonight. Our timer will let you know when you are down to 30 seconds, then 10 seconds, and then stop. So our first question will be for Mr. Hudson-Buehler. How will you balance the increasing demand to develop and maintain facilities while ensuring fiscal responsibility?
It's a great question. So I guess in the last 4 years, the Mandan Park District has been spending, we've been doing a lot with new facilities, and it's time for us to probably start cutting back a little bit and looking at maintenance of our current facilities. We always go into budget meetings every July. We're always planning and trying to decide which projects to do. So it's just a long list that we're going to continue working on, and I'm happy to work on it with our board and work together and accomplish that.
Great, thank you. Mr. Melhoff.
Fiscal responsibility is very important. I think when you're in a leadership position, transparency, I think, is the number one goal. In my professional career, I am an office manager of an engineering firm, so I work with budgets all the time, making sure staffing levels are correct, that sort of thing. So, putting in the effort to make sure you're getting into the meat of the budget's important, working with the other park board members and park district staff, and just being transparent with the public, as I said.
Thank you. This next question will be answered first by Mr. Melhoff. Are there opportunities to improve relationships between political subdivisions? Please be specific.
Yeah, I think there's always room for improvement of relationships. Again, transparency, keeping communication channels open is important. As president of the youth soccer club with kids in hockey, I'm plugged into some of the individual youth clubs, and I'd like to see somebody at the park board level be a little more plugged into those youth groups. Those groups communicate with a recreation manager and the park district director, and there's good communication there, but I'd like to see a little more park board focus on those groups as well. So yeah, I think there's room for improvement.
Thank you. Mr. Hudson-Buehler.
Could you repeat the question?
Yes. Are there opportunities to improve relationships between political subdivisions? Please be specific.
Yes, there's many opportunities. Right now, the park district and the city and the schools, those are all things that we need to be more transparent with. We work very closely with the school on a lot of projects, but also with the city with many things going on. There's just so much going on in the community that we all need to be talking. We need to maybe have joint meetings once in a while just so we can all brainstorm together and be able to figure out the solution. We only have so much of a budget, and we continue to see our budget shrink. We need to work together, and that's what I think a lot of our candidates are wanting us to do is work together, and I'm glad to see that, and hopefully we can have more transparency with that.
Thank you. This next question will be answered first by Mr. Hudson-Buehler. How do you view the Starion Sports Complex 9 months later? Do any adjustments need to be made?
9 months later, Starion Sports Complex is great. I was hesitant with it right away, just on the location, but it is where it is, and we're working with it. I know there might be some parking issues, and that's just one thing we're going to have to continue to monitor to see if we need to add more parking, but everything's going really well. Hockey's been boosted up. Gymnastics has a waiting line they just can't feel like they can't get enough people in the door. So, I mean, it's a great benefit to the community. I can just see more things happening. There's UMary hockey's coming over. I mean, there's just all these opportunities that the sports complex has brought to Mandan, and I believe it's going to bring more.
Thank you. Mr. Melhoff.
I have to reflect some of those sentiments. It's a very nice facility. My kids, I have a 9 and 10-year-old daughter in hockey, and a lot of that's due to the new facility. So I know it's working very good for the groups that use it. I do wish that it would have been on maybe a bigger lot with some future expansion capabilities. It's pretty landlocked on that lot. You'd never be able to get a third sheet of ice up there. Parking limitations are I don't know that they're a big concern. The homecoming football game, a lot of people saw it as an issue, but once or twice a year you can live with that. It's a great facility. They definitely need another sheet of ice, and gymnastics needed a space. So overall, very positive.
Thank you. This next question will be answered first by Mr. Miller. What are your thoughts on the park south side master plan, including the reusing of Ferris Field?
Well, I think it's connecting as the Ferris Field's owned by the school district, and Chad kind of alluded to between the park district and school district, and it's pretty amazing how they make a lot of their things.
Mr. Hudson-Buehler.
So the South Side Master Plan, I kind of brought that up to the park board to create, and I guess one of the reasons I wanted to have a plan or a master plan for that area was there was a lot of discussions of just throwing in some baseball diamonds over here, over there, and I wanted us to slow down and be able to plan ahead, and it's not going to all happen at once. Right now, there is a need for a couple of baseball diamonds, but not for like 2 or 5 years. So maybe something else might come up for that area. We're not sure, but we made the South Master Plan to follow so that in case any of us board members aren't on the board anymore, at least the new board members are able to kind of go down that direction. I can see probably baseball fields there, but we also have to also look at what the city's up to. They are having drainage issues that they're working with. They're doing their city shop. There might be something that comes up that we might have to partner with them with something to give them a little bit more space for their city shop. So, and that's where I go back to the transparency and working together with the city and the school. So I think the self-master plan's great. I totally agree with master plans, so thank you.
Thank you. This next question will be answered first by Mr. Hudson-Buehler. What specific ideas do you have to improve the collaboration between Mandan Park District and the Mandan Public Schools?
Oh, the collaboration, I think, is great right now. I mean, the All Seasons Arena is one of the facilities that's a prime example that we just redid with them was 50/50, creating that into an indoor space for school to use and for Park District to use. I see with us with the school, a lot of the stuff just overlaps, and we're happy to work with them and just continue that relationship.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Melhoff?
I'd agree. You know, I don't have a great knowledge of the inner workings of that relationship, but the ASA, as Chad mentioned, is a park board-owned building on school property, so they must have a pretty good relationship to make that work and share that facility. So I'm definitely interested in learning more about the relationship and seeing if I can help improve it, but it seems to work really well.
Thank you. Again, we invite our in-house audience to submit questions using the index cards provided, and viewers may call 667-3237 or text LWV18527 to 22333 during our forum tonight, Thursday, May 10th. This next question will be answered first by Mr. Melhoff. What will you do to improve Mandan's trail system?
Well, I think Mandan has a great trail system now. I'm not sure if any of the trails are up for new overlays or replacement. I did attend a public input meeting for a potential new trail on 19th Street South, which I think would be a good connection. There is not a plan now to connect that back up to near the municipal golf course, but that would be a connection that would be required. I think with my engineering background, I think I've designed paths in the past, so I think that gives me a better understanding of what goes into the design and the needs. And I think what's important is, you know, you have ADA compliant crosswalks and access, and just making even getting to the paths safe is important. And so I think that would be an improvement that I could lend my expertise to help.
Thank you. Mr. Hudson-Buehler?
The paths are great. I run them every single day almost, so I agree that we have great paths, but we also need to connect them more. There's times where I almost get hit by cars, so it's a little iffy, but I know right away there was a discussion on 19th that it's possible that we're going to try to connect that, but it also would be nice to connect down to municipal golf course. My vision is that hopefully someday we have all our paths connect in one central location. Maybe that is a park that is for all recreational use, so the paths all connect and kind of spread out. I mean, even with our South Master Plan, I know that we created a lot of paths through there that would connect into the system. So everyone loves to walk and ride bike and walk their dogs and go running, and I think it's just something that we need to look into more. And I've found out really early that paths are expensive, but we can get grants and just look at how we can add that to the community.
Thank you. This next question will be answered first by Mr. Hudson-Buehler. How would you improve communication between Mandan Park District and the public?
This is a great question. So ever since I've been on the board for 4 years, this is the most people I've seen in the room. So one thing, come down to here and let us know what you're thinking. The other thing is social media. I mean, there's times where I'm ready to set up Facebook Live up here just so I can get people that are following me to give me information. I mean, I don't know if I'm doing the right job unless the public is coming back to us and telling us. So, I mean, being out in the public, doing social media, coming to meetings, I mean, we need to be as open as possible. So, and I'm open. I'll I'll talk and text or whatever you want. If you have a problem, I'll make sure to try to solve it for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Melhoff?
Well, nothing gets people involved like controversy. I'm not saying bring up controversy, but if you have an empty room, you're probably doing a pretty good job, and so that's not so bad. The Park District has a great marketing staff, and their monthly newsletter has a lot of good content in there. And as Chad mentioned, keep utilizing the social networks that are available, and just, I think, keep doing what they're doing, and I think they do a really good job with that.
Thank you. This next question will be answered first by Mr. Melhoff, and this one comes from a viewer at home. How do you address concerns that the City of Mandan residents are paying for the sports facilities being used by people outside city limits?
Well, Chad and I were actually just talking about that, with the main funding mechanism for that being a sales tax. I don't know that I agree with that statement. There's been quite a few times where I'll leave my kid's hockey game in between games at a tournament, run over to Walmart, to Subway or Arby's, and I'll see friends of mine from Bismarck, and they're spending their dollars in town here, and same with community residents that utilize that facility are shopping when they're here, and that's a big plus. Chad mentioned the waiting list for gymnastics. There's some gymnastics participants that are from Bismarck, and so they're over here. They're shopping. It was approved through the vote process, so I mean it was the public's decision to frame the funding as it was. So I'm pleased to see that the outside entities are helping pay for it.
Thank you. Mr. Hudson-Buehler?
When the sales tax discussion first came up, I was on the wall. I wasn't really sure how to go about it. And now that we've had it, sales tax, I mean, helping pay the sports complex, that's great. People might think like they're actually paying for it, but people from all these other communities are coming in and paying for it. I keep trying to get the city to tell me like who the demographics of who's coming in. We just don't have that data. But I mean, you can't tell me that 100% of Mandan people are only shopping in Mandan. So when I see sales tax, I think it's great. I also, did research in Aberdeen, South Dakota. Their park district, they're running off a sales tax. So I mean, it's something that all the people in the surrounding communities can use, and they help pay for it. So after the sports complex is paid off, who knows? We might need to look at how else we could fund with it. So thank you.
Thank you. This one goes first to Mr. Hudson-Buehler, and this is also from a viewer at home via text. Do you feel the football field at the Starion complex needs more bleachers?
I guess, no, I don't. I've been to a game, it's been, really packed. Homecoming was really packed, but, I mean, it's great viewing. I know that the school district wants to bring up a couple extra bleachers, and I believe we're going to be laying some cement for that. So, I mean, there will be a couple extra this coming fall that they'll be able to use, but, I mean, looking at the sports complex, I can't find too many flaws with it. I keep looking, I promise I am, because, again, like, it's just a great facility, and, yeah, I don't see us, like, football's great up there, and the Friday night lights, it's what everyone that wanted the facility vision, so it's good.
Thank you. Mr. Melhoff?
The events I've attended up there, the existing seating has been adequate. I know that, for homecoming, maybe, I know the homecoming game, they didn't want people on the track because it was fresh and hadn't been used yet, so they didn't really let in standing room only for a term, but there's bleachers available down at softball and elsewhere, mobile bleachers. We got them down at the soccer field. So if there was a need, I think they're available, and we could get them up there for an event temporarily. So I think that's something that'll kind of take care of itself.
Thank you. This next question will be answered first by Mr. Melhoff. How could the Mandan Park District make better use of the Missouri River for recreational opportunities?
Well, I know that going back decades, people have wanted a boat ramp on this side, and the United States Corps of Engineers have been resistant to that. I actually would like to see us utilize the Heart River more. I know you see people fishing along there. I reviewed a a plan this morning that the Lower Heart River flood has a risk reduction plan. And in that plan, basically, our existing levee system does not meet FEMA standards. So that plan actually has for $12 million of dredging of the Heart River right through the Lower Heart River area, which is through Mandan. So I'd like to see a place to put in and take out kayaks on the Heart River, and you could access some Missouri there. Missouri, I know there's was talk of a fishing pier near Memorial Bridge in the past, and that sort of thing I think would have a lot of benefit.
Great,
So I'd
thank
like
you.
to see that.
Mr. Hudson Bueller.
I believe 4 years ago that we brought this up too, and I mean, a public boat ramp has always been something what the public would like, so I mean, I know there's hoops to jump through to get that involved, so anything else with the river, really, I think Miles answered it all, and that's all I have for comment.
Thank you. This next question will be answered first by Mr. Hudson Bueller, and this one comes from our audience. There may be a perception that Park Board spending overshadows other Mandan services and facilities. Is this accurate or a matter of public relations?
I believe that's not accurate. We try to be as transparent as possible with our public spending, so I'm not sure what this viewer may have got that situation, but no, not accurate, so.
Thank you. Mr. Melhoff.
Yeah, I don't know that that's accurate either. You know, the Park District has done a good job with getting, you know, the big splashy facilities lately. There was some city improvements, some fire station that were tossed around, and they just didn't make it through. So I know the other entities are forging ahead, and you know, we're all cognizant of budget issues, but I think it's kind of atypical now. North of Fort Lincoln Elementary, and they didn't address the crossing there, which is already kind of a worry for kids going to school. So I'd like to see that as part of it. I know they did a Safe Routes to School study, so maybe there might be a project in the works I'm not familiar with. But I think it would be good to connect the Keitel subdivisions to Fort Lincoln and allow kids to walk to school safely. Rode our bikes and I was surprised that the special projected room I was there. So they're a good partnership in the engineering.
Thank you. Please share your use trails in 19th Street in South Mandan.
That area needs to add. I know that now it's just we have curb better and all that kind of stuff in the area. We anything that so good for it, but means that in 2, 3 that kind of but now I mean even I know I or someone see it so I can for look out there.
Thank you. This next question comes via text. Answer Heller. Do you the amount used at Dakota Hill
I rec is a great community. I just many things, but you crowding in the community have spaces being he puts many of them in the area to say so DC where that just a player props all member put that there.
I agree. You know, Mandan's one of our oldest events is the rodeo, and looking at that, you know, they're not just Friday night races; they have demolition derby and other events there. You know, there's and at the DC Park that's mainly just used for pass and so you know, it's a nice addition to the community, and I think it fits well.
Thank you. This next question will be answered by Mr. Melhoff first. How will you accommodate Mandan's growth and match with recreational opportunities?
Well, you know, I think our growth has maybe slowed a little bit. The oil boom's kind of slowed. So, and as Chad alluded to, you know, we've had some big spends here lately, and so I think finding new low-cost alternatives for expansion of facilities and events is important. I know Chad was instrumental bringing foot golf here and a neat 5K, both of which utilize existing facilities, and I'd like to bring similar fresh ideas to the Mandan Park District. I'd like to see a family-friendly Frisbee golf course. I know there's a group in Bismarck who'd like to see a climbing wall and is just kind of looking for a place for that. So, you know, the sledding hill's been talked about. If you know, there's not a lot of maintenance, you wouldn't have to add staff for something like that. So I think continuing to find new opportunities like that would be important.
Thank you. Mr. Hudson
I'm going
Bueller.
to have you repeat the question. Miles was
Sure.
just saying my name, so I got interrupted, so.
How will you accommodate Mandan's growth and match with recreational opportunities?
I think as of right now, Mandan Park District has put ourselves in a good position for our recreational programs for the growth. Like Miles mentioned, our growth has kind of slowed down in Mandan, but we continue to grow slowly. The big projects have been completed. Now we have to go pay those off. So now it's looking at all the facilities we have and trying to make sure everything stays nice and stays beautiful in Mandan. Again, I guess for other recreational activities, I myself, if I'm interested in something, I try to bring in here, and that was what foot golf was all about. I saw it on YouTube one day, and I was talking to a couple friends, and they're like, well, why don't we have this? And I don't know, let's go ask. And then a couple days later, we got foot golf, so it worked out great, and it's been a great adventure on that. And also, I brought Mandan Zombie Run 5K to Mandan, which is just a unique event that people start to recognize and start coming from different communities. So right now, I think for our recreational stuff, it's really well. We just got to stay on the edge, and if there's anything new coming up, we just got to plan for it, and that's the biggest thing. But I think we have the facilities right now to pretty much do what we want.
Thank
Thank
you. This next question comes to us via text and will be answered first by Mr. Hudson Bueller. Most programs my kids use are virtually 100% volunteer run, and Parks and Recs is a landlord. Do you feel Parks and Rec should have more staffing?
It's really hard. I've noticed that too, where a lot of these groups, it's all volunteer work. But I mean, I look at the Y even, a lot of their stuff is volunteer work with coaches and everything. Looking at our budget, it'd be great that we could add staff to it. But I mean, right now, it's more that, for the youth part, it is volunteer. And I mean, we can look into it more and see what it would take. I know right now that all the Park District employees are great. They're the ones that make everything happen. Us as board members, we just do a little bit. They're the ones that are really doing it. So I appreciate all the Park District staff and what they're doing, and we'll look into it. I mean, that's a great concern, and I'm happy to look into it for you. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Melhoff?
I think it's important to have volunteers run some of the programs. If you're passionate about something and those are the people that are running it, I think it sets you up for a higher rate of success. As mentioned, I'm president of the Mandan Soccer Club, and we've had times where we've struggled with volunteers, but the last 5-6 years and going forward, we just have great volunteers, and I think that they're doing a great job, and hockey's got a lot of volunteers, volunteer parents all kick in there. I think it takes a balance. You have your traditional sports, baseball, basketball, and volleyball, and a lot of those are volunteer run. Some of them have paid coaching, and that drives up the fees a lot. So if you're going to add the staff, you got to pay for them. Where volunteers are doing it for usually a love of that event. So I'd like to see it continue to grow.
Thank you. This next question also comes to us via text and will be answered first by Mr. Melhoff. Do you see a master plan in the future for the soccer fields? Locker rooms, storage, changing rooms, dirt roads splitting the fields from races?
There's already a project underway. The Girls High School Booster Club was able to secure a donation, and there are some plans out there to put in a press box and some changing rooms underneath that. I'd like to see it maybe a larger scope and involve some more entities, but it seems like I've already got some plans in place. So a master plan might be too late, unfortunately, for that area, but it's something that maybe should have been thought of or planned out here a few years ago. But I know soccer has some growth aspirations and some additional facility needs that need to be planned out and thought out.
Thank you. Mr. Hudson Bueller?
I think we'll have to look at the growth of soccer. Like Miles mentioned, they are planning on putting a press box and some locker rooms on the field out there. Yeah, for a master plan down there, you'd have to probably start when they were creating DCP altogether, so you're kind of late to the game on that. But I know soccer is needing indoor room, and if they are growing, we have 47 acres that are north of town that is just green right now, so that's another opportunity. So I think if we look at the growth of soccer, and we can come up with a plan with them to see how, what their needs will be, we could figure something out for them. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. That was our final question for the evening. Candidates, thank you for being here tonight. You will now each have 1 minute to provide a closing statement, and we'll start with Mr. Hudson-Buehler.
Okay, I'd like to first thank League of Women Voters. I'd like to thank Miles for joining me here tonight, and for our audience out there, I'm glad to see people in the seats. I want to say thank you to my wife Amanda and daughter Olivia. They allow me to do this. I'm away a little, quite a bit. I just finished my bachelor's degree in business management and marketing management, so my time's really not there. So I appreciate that they allow me to donate my time to the community. Also like to say thank you to my family, friends, and all the community support. Continue to come out, post on Facebook, call me, do whatever you can to get a hold. If you have a problem or have an idea for the community, I want to be a part of it. I want to make sure it happens. We have a lot of work to continue doing for Mandan, and I hope to continue with my fellow board members and maybe new board members. And I can't wait to work with the recreational groups, the city, the school district, and the rest of the community to make Mandan one of the premier cities in North Dakota.
Thank you. Mr. Melhoff, your closing statement.
Yeah, thanks. Again, thank you for the event, and thanks to Chad for being here as well. And I'm just really excited about the future of Mandan. We have done a lot of great things here lately through the Park District and the other city entities, and I just look forward to the potential of being part of that moving forward. I did run for Park Board 4 years ago, and I held on to my signs. You'll start to see them soon, and I always knew that I'd run again, and I wasn't sure if now was the right time, but Chad's actually the one that started me thinking that, yeah, maybe I should run, and then Ann Keller, who's in the audience here, McPherson, excuse me, she was formerly on, did a couple terms, and so just the general public who knew I ran before and was passionate about the Park District and the recreational needs of Mandan just came out and encouraged me to run. So I'm really excited about the potential of being on the board. Thank you.
Thank you. I also wish to thank Dakota Media Access and the volunteers from the League of Women Voters for organizing this forum. Thank you to the viewers at home and to the audience members here tonight for taking the time to learn more about the candidates and the issues. This program will replay several times on Government Access, Cable Channel 2 and 602, and will be available for online viewing at freetv.org in the days leading up to the June 12th election. Before we close this candidate forum, we remind you that you will need a form of identification to vote in North Dakota. You can find identification requirements and additional voting information on the websites or at the offices of your county auditor and the North Dakota Secretary of State. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.